Hello, YouTubers and internet people out there. It's your friendly face again. Yes, you haven't seen me in a few weeks because I've taken a hiatus, but I am back now, and I am doing a new video series out there for you. Of course, I hope you remember me from being Professor Banks and walking you through all those history lessons. And then I did nights this week to show you what was happening with our London Knights team over the season. Well, hockey season's done, history lessons are done, but now I'm going to dive you into an exciting new series. I hope you're going to like this series. It's called Crazy Soap Opera Plotlines. How many people out there like crazy TV? How many people out there like to laugh at plot lines or like to think that stuff is funny? Well, this is crazy soap opera plot lines, and what I have done is I have wrote down a list of the top 10 crazy soap opera plot lines that I have seen. Yes, I have watched soap operas in the past. That may surprise you, but I grew up with them in my house. My grandma was an avid soap opera watcher of three soaps: All My Children, One Life to Live, and General Hospital. General Hospital was my most favorite because it had a lot of good storylines, spy storylines, undercover storylines. I actually secretly, when I was younger, I aspired secretly to be a private detective. That's how much I loved it. Um, so a lot of these plot lines are coming from General Hospital, okay? But I do got my top one, which I'm going to get to in a few weeks, is not from that show. We'll get to that in many weeks to come. But this is top 10 soap opera plot lines, okay? So, the 10th one that I'm going to bring to you, I got to give you a little bit of introduction, of course. That's what I got to do to set up this soap opera plot line. Okay? So for a long time on General Hospital, there was this dude named Robert Scorpio. He was my favorite by far. He was the police commissioner for many years of a city. General Hospital was based in a fictional city called Port Charles, which was in New York. That's where it was. So he was the police commissioner of the Port Charles Police Department. Um, and he was actually an Aussie too. I want to go to Australia someday, and I'm going to. Um, but he was actually, his character was Australian, as was he in real life as well. Tristan Rogers is also from Australian, so it was a good fit for Tristan Rogers to play an Australian police commissioner of Port Charles. Okay, so Robert Scorpio, I got it broken down here for you. He was the police commissioner. Now over here, WSB is another thing you got to be familiar with. It stands for World Security Bureau. Okay, and most of these major characters on General Hospital are one time or another mixed up with the World Security Bureau. The World Security Bureau just investigates big time crimes on an international level, okay? So they dive into international stuff. It's kind of like almost like kind of like CAA or FBI or something, but it's a WSB. Um, so Robert used to be in the WSB, but when we look at him in this video, so I'm going to show you he is the police commissioner of the police department. But he used to be in the WSB. Now another person named Anna Devane, used to be married to Robert Scorpio, and they both used to be WSB agents. Now Anna Devane has her own PI agency at this time, so with a man named Sean Donnelly. Up here you can see Sean. Sean Donnelly was also in the WSB. He used to be head of the WSB. He was actually that high up in the WSB. He used to run the whole organization. And then you got Frisco Jones. Frisco Jones aspired to be a WSB agent, and actually he was in the WSB for a bit. And then when we look at this storyline, he is back being a cop. He was a cop at first, went to the WSB, and then he comes back and leaves the WSB and becomes a cop. Okay, so that's what you need to know about the major players. Robert Scorpio, Anna Devane, Sean Donnelly, and Frisco Jones. All with WSB experience, and most of them a cop experience, okay? They're all good guys. They're very good guys. So anyway, in this plot line, Robert is with somebody named Catherine Delafield, okay? That's who he is romantically involved with at this time. And a friend from Australia comes to visit Robert Scorpio, a good old friend, and he says, listen, you're gonna die. Yes, he's very premonitionistic, and he has had premonitions that Robert is going to die, and he's going to die before the end of the calendar year. That's what he says to his friend. And of course, Robert Scorpio doesn't really believe him too much, but he gets this premonition that's what's going to happen. Now, meanwhile, there's this case that comes up. There's this, there starts to be this case that rises up that Robert gets involved with, as does Anna, as does Sean, as does Frisco. It's kind of like it's like a tidal wave. When one gets involved, they all get involved because they're all a team. They're all work together. They're all good guys. They're like the A team. So anyway, this case comes up, and all of a sudden, it brings back WSB ties for Mr. Robert Scorpio because he discovers a WSB agent has been killed. And that's a big deal when a WSB agent is killed, because that means that's a big deal. They're a big organization, and when you get word of somebody that has been killed in the organization, not just died, but been killed, you kind of get into that. So this guy's name is Randall Tucker, and he was apparently poisoned. They thought at first, actually, it looked like food poisoning, so they didn't think much about it, but they investigated deeper, and it was actually a poison that killed him. So what happened to Randall Tucker? What was he investigating that got him poisoned? Now, Robert Scorpio, he doesn't need much to go on. He's a smart old guy. He's smart as a whip. But he gets a note. There's a note from Randall Tucker, and the note just says Jackson on it. That's all it says. A note left for whoever found him, Jackson. So what does Jackson mean? Well, Robert Scorpio starts to investigate more, and he puts two and two together and figures out Andrew Jackson. I don't know how he comes up with that, but he finds out, he actually blows up a bill with Andrew Jackson on it, because remember, he was on the U.S. bills, and he finds out that Andrew Jackson, the bill has him cross-eyed, so it's a counterfeit bill. So it looks like we're into a counterfeit money laundering kind of plot here. And obviously, whoever is doing this plot, Tucker, the WSB agent, found out about it, and they did not want him to. It was such a big scheme, they wanted to quiet him, and so he got poisoned. Now, what else you need to know about this, okay, is that you got a guy named Jimmy O'Hurley, who is actually the girl that Robert Scorpio is dating, Catherine. She has a dear old friend that is staying with her named Mary. Now, Mary is a dear old nice lady. She's a wonderful lady, but this Jimmy O'Hurley is Mary's nephew, okay? So that's how he enters into the scheme. But it turns out Jimmy O'Hurley is actually the bad guy in all this. He is the one that is in this counterfeit money laundering scheme, and he's taking no prisoners. Like, he's so adamant about making a ton of money on this that he's willing to kill anybody that gets in his way. So Jimmy O'Hurley, not a good guy. Not a good guy. Okay, and he's working with a guy named David McAllister. David McAllister was his assistant in this whole scheme. So Robert and the team continue to investigate this. And meanwhile, they continue to have more and more clues that seem to lead to Jimmy O'Hurley being the culprit behind this. Now, what happens is Jimmy O'Hurley gets really anxious and he really believes that he is getting cornered in on by Robert and his team, specifically Robert. So Jimmy O'Hurley, just like he did with the WSB agent Tucker, says, you know what, Robert is getting too close. Robert has to be taken care of. Now you got to remember Tangeneva, the guy that is Robert's friend, predicted that he would die before the end of the year, right? Well, he almost did because he went up to the top of a roof and with his girlfriend Catherine. For some reason, they ended up on a roof. A helicopter took off on the roof, and the helicopter took off so fast it blew them off the roof, and they almost fell to their deaths. But they were rescued that time. But that really had nothing to do with Jimmy anyway, that part. But what you're going to see here, New Year's Eve here, there's a big party happening where all the residents of Port Charles are gathered together. It's New Year's Eve. And oh my goodness, what is going to happen here? Could longtime police commissioner and could really good guy who seems to win all the time and elude danger all the time, is he gonna wow, like, is Tangeneva's prediction gonna come true and he's going to fall to his death before the end of the year? Okay, so this is what I'm going to try to show you here. I hope it works. This is the video clip of Robert Scorpio, New Year's Eve party, and Jimmy O'Hurley has actually put poison in his aftershave. Okay? I mean, just listen to this. This is very ludicrous, isn't it? Like, who puts poison in aftershave? Does this stuff happen in real life? But anyway, that's what he did. And Robert, it's New Year's Eve. He's all dressed up. Did he put on aftershave? Oh, no. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, this is New Year's Eve clip from General Hospital. I hope I've set up this storyline for you quite well. Okay, so take a ponder.
And the murderer is Bambi.
So that's Frisco Jones right there that you see in this clip, okay? This guy here is Frisco Jones, okay?
Please, it's New Year's Eve. Just let me right.
And here is our police commissioner, Robert Scorpio.
Well. Well, that's all right. Let him tie one on. He has reason to celebrate, right?
What is going on here, folks? He looks like he's getting really dizzy, Robert Scorpio.
Have you seen Catherine? Here we go. Welcome 1990. 10, 9.
This is Sean Donnelly that just shown, okay? So that's Sean Donnelly. There's the bad guy right there, Jimmy O'Hurley. Uh-oh. Look at what happened here, folks. That's Jimmy O'Hurley right there.
Where are you, Robert? I didn't know he was part of the murder mystery. That was
Sure
funny.
he is.
Robert, talk to
There's
me.
no pulse.
Begin to put back.
CPR. Somebody call General Hospital.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but I wanted to show you more of this clip, but it doesn't seem to be working. But anyway, you get the gist here. Robert Scorpio fell down the steps. Okay, he was taken to General Hospital, just like they were calling for, and what happened was at General Hospital they found his heart was giving out. So what this poison does is slow down your heart, and he was declared dead at General Hospital. Robert Scorpio had been killed by the bad guy. Or was he? Let's take a look here, folks. Let's go. I'm going to bring you to another clip here. Okay? And let's hope this works. Okay, I do apologize for this. But anyway, I'm trying to bring up another clip for you folks to see this. Let's see if I can make this work. So, at a New Year's Eve party, Robert Scorpio has apparently used poisoned aftershave and fallen to his death. Now, let's see if I can bring you up another video that actually shows something maybe a little different. Okay, bear with me, folks. I'm going to try to make this work. Here we go.
At Haagen-Dazs, we believe through passion and perseverance, the simplest things become extraordinary.
Remember that it's just the commissioner. But I do have a statement to issue, and that is that Commissioner Scorpio left behind ample files on the David McAllister case. And I believe that we have enough evidence to go to trial.
So this is Anna Devane now, who is temporarily acting as police commissioner because Robert Scorpio is dead, right?
Yes. Oh my God, she's closing the investigation.
Don't panic. I'll talk to her.
No, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I think that we will be able to prove that her motives include jealousy, revenge. It appears that McAllister took her upwards of $1 million that she used to purchase negotiable bonds. We're hoping that as the trial gets nearer, we will be able to recover some of that evidence. That's really all I have. What about thank you very much. Thank you very much.
There's enough. Thank you.
Robert felt that you needed a chance, and he liked you.
There's only one thing that could make me feel any happier. I just wish Robert was here to tell me that.
Okay, this is Jimmy O'Hurley. He is the bad guy. He's still acting like a really good guy. Okay, I'm going to take you now to a surprise. Okay, right at the end here, there's a surprise. So here we go. Let's see if I can bring up the surprise.
Very soon.
I'll do what I can. A lot of people want this to end.
This is Sean Donnelly, and this is Robert's fiancee, Catherine.
You mean there's a room inside there?
Mm-hmm. And only my close friends know about it, so I want you to keep the secret too. Right?
Of course, why are you showing it to me?
Because I think you're going to be very interested about what's inside.
Now, what's it take for dead men to rise in this town? Abracadabra?
I love you, Wordsworth. Aren't you going to throw yourself a
I feel like strangling you.
But you're not going to do that.
Then wait a minute. Do you know how much I cried for you?
No, this is rough on everyone.
Oh.
So, the essence of this is, look up. Did you see that at the end? He is very much alive, Robert Scorpio. He was actually more on to Jimmy than we thought, and he actually didn't get poisoned. He made it appear like he was poisoned, and I don't know what he took to. He obviously had the doctors in on it too, and who does that? Who does that in real life? Has doctors in on the plan too, but he did. So he was not dead. He faked his death, and then he continued to remain hidden while the rest of the team tried to nail Jimmy O'Hurley. And he dressed up in a disguise, actually, that nobody recognized him in, so he was actually still part of it. But ultimately, in the end, what happened was Jimmy O'Hurley was making counterfeit money, and he was also stealing money, too. He actually had stolen a bunch of bonds from this rich family named the Quartermains in General Hospital. So he was doing that, too. And so he was embezzling, he was counterfeiting money, and he was getting taking care of anybody who got too close to the truth. So the team, led by Robert Scorpio in disguise after he faked his death, him, Anna, Sean, Frisco, all managed to nail Jimmy O'Hurley, bring him to justice, and wrap up this curious case. So there you have it. That is the 10th craziest soap opera plotline that I'm going to bring to you in this series. So Robert Scorpio and faking his death, and a guy that actually came from Australia to predict that he would actually die before the end of the year, which he actually looked like he did, but he didn't. He is still one of my all-time favorites, Robert Scorpio. He shows up from time to time on the soap still. He is in his 70s now, but I just loved him when he was on the show. He was a really super sleuth kind of guy. So that is this first week of top 10 crazy soap opera plot lines. So I'm going to try to bring these to you throughout the summer when I can. So this was the 10th one. I hope you liked this, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this. Come back next week and check out what's 9th on my list of 9th craziest soap opera plot lines that I have seen. Okay? Until next time, take care and stay sane. I'm going to say that for my catch line now with crazy soap opera plot lines. See you next time.